Dissidents. This word means to be an opponent of the established political order of the time, so-called order. I'd say to be an opponent of the established chaos of the day. So what's a dissident? Well, what's a true dissident? A true dissident is somebody who opposes the established political condition of slavery, regardless of how dangerous it is for their physical safety, because they understand that slavery is always immoral and illegitimate, and they correctly value creation's gift of free will above all else. I say to people a lot, a true relationship between individuals is always a three-dimensional relationship, meaning that there has to be a connection between all individuals involved in the relationship and truth itself. Anything else is a disconnected, flat, two-dimensional, so-called relationship. That's why a true relationship that we have, the other person is always connected with the values of truth and the principles of natural law, if it's a true relationship. I mean, you know, the American revolutionaries are no better. There's no better example anywhere of a true dissident that valued their people and their country that they were living upon and stood against tyranny. And then you have someone like an individual, you know, like the person who stood in front of the tank in Tiananmen Square before the Tiananmen Square massacre. I mean, you want to talk about balls. Yeah. I mean, you want to talk about courage. There's somebody to look up to. You'll have this argument all the time. Oh, what are we going to do? Stand up to tanks? Yeah! We're going to stand up to tanks if that's what it takes. Yeah! I'll stand up to a tank if that's what it takes to protect freedom and truth. Yeah! Absolutely. Think I'm worried about what these psychopaths have? I'll force your hand to drop hydrogen bombs on the world. I'm not backing down. I don't care how many people you kill or threaten. You want to know why? I know who we're really up against. I know definitively, not by a belief, not by reading about it in a book, not by being told by anybody else. I was in the room with these psychopaths who run the world. And if you were there too, you'd fight as hard as me or harder. There would be no excuses about, I have this, or that to do. This is what you'd be doing. Everybody. That's why people ask me, what do you want to be able to do, Mark? Do you want any special power? Would you like to have any kind of a special ability or power? Yeah, I say the same thing all the time to every room I speak in front of. I want to have the ability to, against natural law, kidnap an individual and bring them someplace that I want to bring them without their consent. Now, how strange does that sound for me to say? But that's what I want the ability to do. And without consequence. I would like to have the supernatural ability to kidnap another human being against their will without consequence, because you know where I would take them? I would take them to a satanic ritual house dungeon, and I'd dump them in the basement, and the Satanists would have their way with them, and the police would be guarding the ritual chamber, and then no action would ever be taken against the Satanists performing the rape or murder or violence that would be conducted, and then they would know definitively what the world is. Definitively. They would know. They wouldn't have a belief about it. They would know. That's why I want that power. You know? I would also take the ability to convey everything that I know with a touch. That would be a nice second power. That would be a nice one. Okay? Yeah. Let's look at some historical examples of dissidents throughout time in chronological order. We're going to look at Jesus. Now, let me make a caveat here. I say this all the time whenever I bring up Jesus as any kind of example in any of my work, okay? One, I'm not propagating any religion, I'm not propagating Christianity, okay? I'm not in any way putting this up on a pedestal. I'm talking about this in an allegorical sense, or if you want to prefer to look at Jesus as a historical figure, whether he was or not, we're talking about the story as portrayed in the New Testament and the actions and the teachings, the actions he performed and the teachings that he propagated as either a historical or allegorical figure. So take that for what it is worth. I am not suggesting that anybody think about it in any particular way. I'm telling you that the example is a valid one, and the teachings are valid ones, even if you don't want to look at this as a historical religious figure. Okay? I'm going to simply refer to what the story in the New Testament tells us, what it portrays, what it tries to teach us. Okay? So we're going to look at Jesus. We're going to look at, of course, the Founding Fathers and the revolutionaries who fought the American Revolutionary War. We're going to look at the black slaves of early America and the Civil War era period. And we're going to look at the anarchists of today. Again, I'm not going to particularly, focus on the image or visage of any particular anarchist, but just talk about the movement of anarchists. And this is a nice, I use this A with the circle around it like other anarchists do, but I put no masters, no slaves. Some of them put no gods, no masters. But I prefer to look at it as what real anarchy means. No masters and no slaves. There's no ruling class and there's no slave class. This is a great meme I found online. It says, "I am me. I am free. I declare my independence as a sovereign human being. I do not consent to be governed. I commit no crime as I harm no other. I do not subscribe to labels or dogmatic ideologies. I treat everybody as a brother or sister." That's what an anarchist is. That's what a real anarchist is.